Hi everyone, it's me, I'm back again. I'm just going to do this little video now, just talking a bit about why I love anime. I got the idea to do this video yesterday from a few other videos I watched. Um, so yeah, well, I I got into anime first really when I was about 9, when the whole Pokemon thing just exploded. It was so popular, kids just were obsessed by it. Like the same way as I said something briefly like this before. Like first thing I remember kids being obsessed with at school was Pogs, and then first it was Pogs, and then later the same kind of thing happened with Pokemon, with Pokemon cards, the Game Boy games, the toys, the series. And around that time, I got Sky Television for my 9th birthday, because I really wanted to be able to watch Fox Kids, because all the cartoons and TV shows had been moved on to the Fox Kids channel, and they weren't really on regular TV anymore. And when I started watching Fox Kids, there was other anime on there like Sailor Moon. Yeah, I did really like Sailor Moon, um, because it was just a fun sort of anime, even though the characters, even though the main characters were female. It had a lot of the elements in it that I like in a series, like action and pretty good storylines. Sailor Moon lasted for quite some time as well. I know there's recently been a live action version. I haven't seen much of it, but I should probably watch some more. Other ones, there were Transformers Armada, and then Digimon. Really, really did love Digimon. Why I really like Digimon was because of its similarities to Pokemon, but also the differences. Like the storyline was very action orientated. The characters in it were good. There were good storylines and excellent character development for Tai in the first season, how he was the leader and he had to learn the hard way. About the true meaning of a leader is to set a good example for his team, and then and then in the second series, kind of the same thing with Davis. How Davis was he was very self-centered to begin with, and only really cared about what was best for himself, and just dragged the team along. But then he later, in the part where the Digimon Emperor has Agumon under his control, and Davis finds his second Digiegg, which is the Crest of Friendship, the Digiegg of Friendship, where Vmon gains his second Armor Digivolution, and that's when Davis realizes that he has to lead by example. And also after that then was Digimon Tamers, was a good series because I liked how it took place in an alternative universe to the original 2 seasons, Digimon Adventure 1 and 2, and the character development in that story was also very good. There was, like, with the new main leader Takato, and he create as we remember, he created Guilmon because he drew his Digimon Guilmon, and then mysteriously at the same time he gets this blue card that turns his sort of card reader, because in season 3 in Tamers, the first Digimon Adventure 1 and 2 are actually a merchandise like they are in our world, and it's a government operation that was once working on a Digimon program to actually make them real, and yeah. So what happens is from that digital world, the digital world sends these blue cards to the three new tamers to become the Digimon tamers, to be able to fight the Digimon the evil Digimon that cross over from the digital world to our world. Yeah, also Rika's character in that series is really good. She went through a very, very big transformation throughout the show, and because she didn't believe, she only cared about destroying the Digimon because she wanted her Digimon Renamon to gain more data, just to download more data, so she could be powerful enough to digivolve. But with the help of Takato and Henry, she later learns that Digimon are actually living things, and she gains more respect for them. And by the end of the series, she's a completely different person, as with Henry, and we all remember, and Henry was a very protective Digimon tamer of Terriermon, his Digimon. You may remember that Terriermon was first in the original Digimon movie, prior to being in Tamers. The original Digimon movie was actually 3 separate movies that were from Japan, sort of combined into one for the westernized theatrical release. So the thing was, after Tamers, the following season, Digimon Frontier, never actually aired on digital TV. It was cancelled. But they did keep rerunning the original 3 for some time to come. I kept watching it, and but then later, sort of when I was getting into my teenage years, like when I was 13, 14, is when Yu-Gi-Oh came along. And it was through the interest of people at school who were collecting the cards again, because once again, like Pokemon, the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game became wildly popular. I'd gone back to really watching things like Power Rangers again, and I kind of lost sort of some interest in anime. I didn't actually know what anime was then. I knew that it was a Japanese cartoon, but I didn't know it was specifically that genre. Yu-Gi-Oh! So I did start watching Yu-Gi-Oh! And I really liked it. The premise of the series and the characters in the series were good. And I liked how the trading card game was actually an element from the show. Whilst with Pokemon, they didn't have cards in the series. It was just all about catching Pokemon, earning your badges, training to become a Pokemon master. But what was good about Yu-Gi-Oh! I thought was that the trading card game was something directly from the series, because Yugi accesses the monsters. The characters basically call the monsters by summoning them from the cards. But really, when I first got into the proper sort of anime, when I discovered like the more adult-friendly anime, was when I was about 16, 17. That's when I started buying some more of the more adult anime. The first, one of the first real animes that I watched. Well, let's say real anime. Like the proper sort of the films, the Studio Ghibli films, like Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Lepta Castle in the Sky, Ponyo's, Ponyo, and The Wind Rises. I absolutely love all of those. They're great. But recently, I've been watching a lot more of the real adult, like anime like Death Note. I really like Death Note. Devil May Cry, Panty and Stocking, which is really funny. Still, I love Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, High School of the Dead, and Voltron. Absolutely love the original Voltron series because of how similar it is to basically Transformers and stuff. And so I do like Voltron Legendary Defender as well. I have been watching that, but I really do love the original Voltron series from 1984. Basically because it is a series with giant transforming robots. Gundam, love Gundam, and the films, more of the films like Akira. I mean, one of the first animes I'd seen, one of the first anime movies I actually watched as a kid, I had it on video when I was 12, I got it on video, was The Little Mermaid, the anime version from 1975. The English dub actually shows you live action footage of Denmark, and it's very, very close to the Hans Christian Andersen book. And it does actually end. The really sad thing is, it was it ended very sadly. It did actually end with her dying and turning into sea foam, like in the original book. I didn't know at the time it was an anime, but I did remember recognizing the animation style, and I have learned since that there is an original Japanese version, which I've not seen. But I recently rewatched it again, and that for me, that was an anime that for me was the first original anime movie I saw. Recent years, I play a lot of anime, manga, RPGs, as well on video games. Like I love the Mighty Number 9 game. I really like the Sword Art Online game. Sorry, there's my alarm here. I'm up a bit early today. Yeah, the Sword Art Online game. I've got the 2 Digimon games that have come out for PS4 in the past couple of years. It's really good that there are Digimon games again. I did have a lot of the Pokemon games for 3DS, but I recently traded in my 3DS when I got my Switch to get some more money towards it, which I do love the Switch. I'm a big collector of the anime RPGs because they're very old-fashioned, like arcade type games, and the games that they have in the arcades in Japan, and that's really is my sort of type of game. I think the storylines, like character developments in a lot of animes, like Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and all of them really, and even in the more mature anime, the characters in that, like, say I love Street Fighter. Of course, Street Fighter is a very, very classic Japanese game, which I know is also now an anime series and movies. I think the characters in a lot of anime go through a lot of personal things. They go through a lot of personal changes, and the stories are very identifiable. I think, for me, the most identifiable characters I've seen in cartoons are the characters in animes. Like, I love the storyline in Digimon Season 2 with Ken. How he, when he was the Digimon Emperor at the beginning, and he really went through almost a period of torture when he realised the error of his ways. And then, right at the end of the season, he does finally learn to put it behind him. He really paid the price for his mistakes, and that was a good storyline. Also, sort of like with Ash's character in Pokemon, how he had to learn to be a responsible Pokemon trainer, and realised that it was more about just earning badges, getting entered into Pokemon League, and about becoming, a loving, caring Pokemon trainer, and the relationship built with his friends and with the Pokemon over the course from the original series up to now has been very good, despite the fact that he's still 10 years old. And I know there are many theories about how that could be. The most notable being the one that when he saw the legendary Pokemon at the end of the first episode over the rainbow, is that he wished to remain young forever. And then the second one that's very popular is the fact that he's actually in a coma from being shocked by Pikachu at the beginning of the episode, and that he's been in a coma ever since, and it's all been a dream. Yeah, as I say, all the characters I watched were more identifiable for me than other characters in cartoons that I liked. I mean, the non-anime cartoons that I liked. Like in over here in the UK, we have a Dennis the Menace, or Dennis and Nasher as it was called. By the time I started watching it, because he was joined by an Abyssinian tribe hound called Nasher, and and that's the series from 1996. It was on Fox Kids in 1999 as well. That was one of my all-time favourite cartoons as a kid. So I did love Power Rangers, and I did love, all the side Saban shows like Beetleborgs, VR Troopers, Masked Rider. Those were my childhood, and I do also love the tokusatsu genre as well. Because as a kid, I didn't realise that the source material for those shows actually came from Japan. I think a lot of kids thought it was just like an actual American cartoon, because it looked good and original enough to be an American cartoon. But in Japan, you've got the Kamen Rider, you've got Super Sentai, which actually are the source material for the Power Rangers series, and Masked Rider was adapted from Kamen Rider Black RX, and I love Kamen Rider. I collect lots of Kamen Rider series on DVD, and I got some of the merchandise as well. Yeah, I mean, just the characters in the characters in a lot of animes, like and the villains as well. The villains, you had great villains in series. Like you had all the different villains in Sailor Moon. Yeah, and like you had Queen Beryl, and then her big set of villains. That went, each had their chances at defeating the Sailor Scouts, but then they failed. Also, you had many other villains after Queen Beryl, the first big villain in Sailor Moon. You had Anne and Alan, which were the two aliens that disguised themselves as a human brother and sister to go about in everyday life whilst trying to gather energy to keep themselves alive. Then you had Rubius and the Four Sisters in the Rini era, where Rini is introduced. And then after that, you had that scientist bloke. Can't remember his name, but yeah. At that point in the series, around series 4, I think it was, that a number of the voice actors were changed in that series. Some animes I didn't really watch, like I never really got into Dinosaur King, but I do remember my little cousin. My little cousin was about 5, 6 at the time. He really did like that. So I watched it with him occasionally, and yeah, I've been collecting all the Studio Ghibli films over the past few years, because they're absolute masterpieces in my opinion. They kind of are sort of that equivalent. A lot of people say they're that equivalent to Disney, and yeah, they really are. The characters are very memorable. Storylines are great, like Spirited Away, everyone loves that. It's a real classic. And I do like to read manga as well. Reading some manga was what really got me interested in the more adult, in the adult friendly anime. Like I started reading Bleach. I was introduced to it by a friend, which I absolutely loved. I loved And then I started reading Death Note, and I've been collecting lots and lots of manga over the years. I do still watch the family-friendly anime as well. Like, I rewatch a lot of stuff I liked when I was a kid, but also I watch a lot of the new, sort of the new Pokemon, the new Yu-Gi-Oh, because it still continues. And recently Digimon Tri, which is absolutely, I thought that part 1 movie was brilliant. I'm really looking forward to part 2. And, let's see, what else? I really want to get watching Transformers Armada again, because I do like that series. Plus, because I'm a big Transformers fan, and that was also an anime series. So that's what I really liked about it. And Armada is definitely one of my favourite Transformers seasons. For the storyline and the artwork and the characters, as well as the fact that it is an anime series. So yeah, and also, yeah, one thing I will mention is I did love Shin-Chan as a kid, because it was funny. You may remember Shin-Chan, which is the comedy type anime about a little toddler that was very, very rude, very, a very naughty kid, trademarked by walking around with his pants down and showing his arse. Yeah, that was fun. There was a second English dub which was made for kids, to be aired on Fox Kids, which is where the language was child friendly. But there is also the adult version, which is more adult friendly, which I have been watching bits of, and I really, really like that. So yeah, I mean, that's really why I like anime, because for me, a lot of those cartoons, I saw them as a kid, and some of those things now were an escape from some personal problems in life. So I had very hard times at primary school and through secondary school, and and a lot of those anime cartoons were a big escape from it, from the things that were going on, because I could just sort of get lost into my own world when I watched a lot of anime as a kid. Yeah, and that's kind of why I watch it now and play the games. It still has that kind of effect on me, where I can just put all my personal things aside and just get lost in the show or the game, the manga, the merchandise, whatever it may be. Yeah, so yep, that's my video on why I love anime. Yep, and of course, before I go, I will say, as TF Nation is getting closer and closer, I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone there. I just can't wait for it. And so, yep, that's it for now. I'll be back very soon. Thanks all for watching. Signing out.